All right, guys, it's 2022, and I want to know if barrel length even matters at this point in the AR-15 game. I don't think so. So stay tuned, let's talk about it. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. The question has come up, does barrel length matter? Like I said, I don't really think the actual length of the barrel is what's going to make or break a rifle. I think there's some other components, some other things to consider when you're out shopping for your go-to rifle, your go-to AR-15, not so much barrel length. So that's what my response was. So first of all, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, do all that stuff. It really helps out the channel grow. Please leave your comments. I think the comments are great. I like reading those and I like responding, and I try to respond to everything that gets asked. So if you got some good input on barrel length, go ahead and please leave that in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the like. All right, thank you very much for that. Let's go back to about 2010-ish, maybe a little bit before time frame. This was your standard fare, your 16-inch barrel, okay, with whatever this adds, typically it was an A2 flash hider of some sort. I think muzzle brakes were really taken off back then as well, but whatever this added to a 16-inch barrel with a carbine length gas system, okay, and that's where I think a lot of the decisions gonna have to come from. But this was your standard fare back then. Pretty basic rifle, Aimpoint Pro, free floated barrel, or a free-floated handguard, and like I said, the carbine length gas system. This is something people were doing at home. They would get them. You didn't have the free float option as you do now, right off the shelf. Now it's pretty standard. Back then you had to do it yourself or third party the parts or whatever. Anyway, some companies were, but that was more of the higher end builds, right? But this is pretty typical for about a 15-year-old gun. Oh, and it's on a Colt, which is also, I would say, maybe time appropriate for that time frame. Okay, moving on. Also around that time, the pistol craze was really taking off. So AR pistols. This is a 10.5 inch, okay? Back then, people were seeing what they could do with it, right? They were bringing them way down, I think even 5.5 inch. I don't know all the crazy barrel lengths they did. 7 was pretty common, but this was pretty standard back then. You didn't have cool stocks braces such as this. This is pretty much the gold standard now. Anything by SB Tactical, that's pretty much the gold standard, okay? It was more of just the buffer tube with a little pad on it or something like that. But this was it, okay? People were really experimenting, and that's really cool. It forced manufacturers to bring out new products, and that's really good for us, the user. I think it kind of distilled itself out to being optimized in the 10.5, 11.5, two different camps. I understand the differences and why people might choose the two, but in the end, it doesn't make that much difference in my opinion. Gas system is the same on that. So as far as the 10.5 and 11.5. So that's why I say there's not that much of a difference. I understand the ballistics, but that aside, user-wise, this is kind of the go-to for pistol size ARs. Okay, so went from the 16 all the way down to the 10. I'm not going to count those super short ones because I think those have really fallen out of favor currently. Okay, then to maybe, you know, because of all the restrictions with the ATF and all that stuff, being pistol, rifle, this and that, you had the other option of going with a pin and welded 14.5, giving it the overall length of 16 inch, so it still is a rifle. Okay, to me, this is the optimal setup of what I'm using. And I say that because I've got the longer gas system in this, and that makes more difference to me than a little bit on the end for you know, usage-wise, maneuverability. I'd rather have a really good functioning gas system, and that's why I think this is the good setup for me. And you can't get this gas system on the pistol. So I would rather have a little bit longer gun than having a shorter gas system. Let's do a quick comparison of the two, okay? And you know, all buttstocks are not created equal as far as dimensions. So, but these pair up pretty evenly because you're measuring from, you know, the bottom up, not from the top down. So fairly close. There is a difference. It's noticeable, but you know, go with what you like. Now, when you want to put a suppressor on there, that changes everything, right? Now they're more equal like that, okay? And if you go suppressor onto suppressor on a pistol compared to a 16-inch gun, same length pretty much, okay? Obviously depending on the suppressor and all that stuff. So, if you're going suppressed, you can go with a pistol and it's going to outshoot that 16-inch barrel as far as my opinion goes, as far as shootability. I understand the longer distance stuff with the ballistics. I get all that. I would say that's a bullet conversation, not a rifle conversation. Okay, next part of the question was, okay, well, I guess I should say the argument was, well, I feel comfortable shooting a longer gun, or I feel comfortable shooting a shorter gun. Well, keep in mind, from here back, the gun is virtually the same. So unless you're doing the crazy Chris Costa way up super clamp deal here like this, which is fine, I don't care how you shoot, it's not gonna make much of a difference. If you come back like this, or you're coming back something like this, however you decide to set up your gun, it's gonna be less of a difference, or less drastic of a change. Yes, you're gonna have less on the front, but back here, where you get where you're really doing your shooting from, okay? It's kind of the same as far as barrel length. It doesn't matter because it's on the back end. Now, if you're in a position where you have to have just some of the most compact guns, I would say maybe not go with AR-15, or go with something that has a folding stock such as this, okay, and can fire when folded, okay. A lot of options out there. You know, this is an MPX, this is in 9mm, but they got the MCX. So that might be an option if you have to go absolutely compact with your firearm, okay. So I think the AR-15 has really been distilled down to what it is now with the 14.5. For me, for the 14.5 with the mid-lead gas system, I think this is the sweet spot for everything I'm doing. Okay, this is kind of like, it does everything really well, and that's kind of how I want it, right? Whatever you want to call it, your shit hit the fan gun, whatever, doesn't matter. I think that's the sweet spot. Where it's going to go from here, I don't know. The last 10 years has been really, last 10, 15 years in this has been really interesting. A lot has changed. And now with the Army picking up the new contract with essentially, aside from changing the caliber thing, that I don't know which way that's going to go, but them going with the, I think it's comparable to the MCX Virtus. Basically folding stock, get rid of the buffer tube, and that's going to be probably, in my opinion, the direction of the AR-15 from here forward. So that might put us into the piston guns to where, you know, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go, but I suspect it's going to go very close to the direction of what the Army's doing, for several reasons, you know. So that's my opinion on that. So what is the perfect barrel length? Well, what are you using the gun for? And there's a lot more to look at than just barrel length. So I guess that's what my opinion is. Don't just look at the barrel length. Get good with your firearm, and then you'll realize that your firearm is not so much the issue or the length or whatever. That's not going to be how you dial it in. It's going to be you getting familiar with what you're using and putting in the time in on the range and getting really good with what you've got. And you'll realize that those couple inches on the barrel are kind of negligible. They don't really matter once you've put in the time to really learn how to use your equipment. So thanks again for watching. Like I said, this was just kind of my quick opinion, try to help somebody out with choosing maybe their initial AR-15 setup and barrel length. So thanks again. Have a good day.